course, because there are about 40 Tea Party people. The 40 plus another 30 or so make up a 70, not even the majority, 70 votes, people who win with over 65% of the votes, and they worry about being challenged from the right. And I would hope that enough of them come to their senses. I've been trying to start an insurrection among some of the moderate Republicans who really know better. They tell me I'm right, but they're not going to buck the leadership, and that's the problem.
Karl Rove and other big Republican money guys are trying to put up defenses for Republicans to do immigration reform. You think that'll have any impact?
I would hope all those who have any senses will understand that the Latino community will be, as it is in California, the majority party in this country. So even if it's political reason, I'll take it. You know, the Latino population has been more inventive, starting their own businesses here in Westchester, and they have to come out of the darkness. This is a great path. I might have done it shorter rather than the long period. Years, right. But it's important that we pass reform, and for the conservatives who may be watching, they can pay taxes, they get a job, be part of a community. It's a much healthier way. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now you want to know what's happening on appropriations.
Yeah. Well, I have a question, though, as the only woman at this table. We talked about what happened in Texas. It was a fascinating scene, what happened in the state legislature.
Wendy for governor.
Right. Believe me, she has no problem raising money. However, you look at the polls, and if you ask the national public, how do you feel about limiting abortions after 20 weeks? The plurality says yes. How concerned are you that the issue of choice, if they don't go for the long bomb and conservatives do this piece by piece, that rights will be backsliding here?
Well, of course. If people aren't going to speak up and stand up for women's rights, they will backslide. But I feel very, very strongly that, you know, the Republicans should get out of people's bedrooms.
But you know,
this is a personal decision.
Late-term abortions, people want more restrictions.
No one, as a woman, says, "Oh, I'm going to just have a late-term abortion." I don't know anybody who makes that decision. So it's to protect the health and the life of the mother that these decisions are made very, very painfully. So people who really don't get it and don't understand, or feel that women shouldn't be in charge of their own body, are frankly, I guess, responding to some of those polls. But again, the idea is to give women control, let them make these decisions early, but when it comes to their health or it comes to their life, sometimes they have to make a decision that is a very difficult one.
Why have the pro-choice numbers slid in recent years compared to where they were 10 years ago?
I think it depends upon what polls you're looking at, because I think the pro-choice majority, from what I've seen in the polls, is still very, very strong. But it depends how you discuss it. I won't even get into and repeat what Aiken and some of these other guys have said. Brodsky probably remembers all those things. I'm not going to repeat them. It was pretty disgusting.
I think you're absolutely right about this question being a function of what question you ask in the poll.
Of course.
In the end, the question of individual autonomy and people's ability to make these difficult decisions by themselves, as you said, is at the basis.
With whom? With their clergy, with their partner, with their husband, but not the Congress.
That's, in addition to being the right thing, that's the politically winning side, to be honest.
I agree.
Well, let me ask, because just look at the last 6 months, what we've seen. Gay marriage.
Amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing how fast this issue, if I told you 5 years ago that not only the plurality of America would want to do this, but you're on the wrong side politically, even in red states if you stand in the way of it, that moves. But after Newtown, no advancement on gun rights. We talked about the issue of choice. More and more states are being more and more restrictive here.
They're wrong.
Okay, but why? Can you explain? Is it the marketing of the idea? Is it the selling of the idea? Is it special interest? Why do certain issues seem to move forward? Look at voting rights. That goes backwards.
You know what? Why don't we look at the amount of money that's being spent by the NRA to convince people that Anybody should carry a gun, no matter where you are.
But still, 90% of the public wants more background checks, and it still doesn't get through. People at the end are worried about keeping their jobs.
The NRA is making huge contributions, and there are some members of Congress from the Dakotas and other states out west who are just afraid of the NRA. I have never seen the negative effects of these PACs as much as this last election cycle. When you can come in and put 2 million, 3 million on TV in the last few weeks of a campaign, that's pretty scary. And some people are worried about it. But as far as I'm concerned, if you can pass a background check and know who you're selling a gun to, I remember I was up at one of the hotels here, and they were selling guns right in the lobby. And I went over to the guy, he didn't know I was a congressman, and I said, what do I have to give you to buy a gun? You know the answer, not much. You've got to get background checks. It's absolutely essential.
Did you have a gun picked out?
I wouldn't know one from another, Richard.
Well, you talked
I
about
didn't even have BB guns when I was a kid, or a water gun.
How do we get this working? You talked about elections. I'll bring it closer to home, and I won't drag you in the middle of it with the mayoral race. But Dominic's interview with Christine Quinn, we're going to be bringing shortly. Curious, you have a background that you served in the same delegation with Anthony Weiner. It's been widely reported from a lot of members of the delegation. Well, no, that he was a show pony. He liked to act a lot, while a lot of other lawmakers, yourself included, actually got stuff passed.
What part of no comment didn't you
Would
understand?
you stop? What are you? Are you the host?
I'm a lawyer.
No, but seriously, is it a fair point?
His wife is wonderful and smart, and he has a precious little baby. And let's go on to the next question.
You see.
My lawyer said
That's
we're
right.
going to the next question.
Last thing, are you tired yet?
No, I have plenty of
No,
energy.
but are you tired of going to D.C. and then just the silliness? We talked about the sequester. We talked about, the debt limit. It just seems that at least in the past, they'd run up to the edge and then be like, gotcha, and they'd come back. We'd waste time, we'd waste money, but at the end, we didn't do something self-destructive. We now do that. And there seems to be no reason. You can't even promise me, and I don't blame you for it, that the student loans won't get restored to 3.5%.
Richard, let me tell you, what really infuriates me is that we're wasting taxpayer dollars. I go down there usually every Monday, sometimes Tuesday morning. We're not moving on these big issues. I meet with Senator Mikulski and the head of OMB once a week, just to see if we can move the agenda, because I'm trying to figure out how we get this done. As you know, the Senate's marking up, which means putting their bills together at $1.058 trillion. The House, because of Paul Ryan, by the way, he's been a friend of mine, he's just all wrong. Paul Ryan's budget is $967. As you remember, Paul Ryan and others were saying to the Senate, get a budget, get a budget. Now we're saying, come to conference, come to conference. So we don't have an agreed upon number. The Senate is proceeding, the House is proceeding. The first bill, the defense, Milcon, Homeland Security, are at the $1.058 trillion number. But then there are crumbs. When I go out to the community, I talk about the cuts at the National Institutes of Health. Cuts in autism, cuts in Alzheimer's, cuts in breast cancer. And you know what? It's not just the fact that you're cutting these accounts, which are devastating. These are jobs. So it's research that's not being done, economic development. These are jobs in our community. When the FAA issue came up, everyone caved. We shouldn't have caved. What should have happened is stood still and said, we're not passing this unless we agree on a total number for the appropriations process. So I get tired of people wasting my time. I got tired of the Republican majority that doesn't want to come together. And as you know, on my committees, I work very closely with a lot of Republicans. I've always worked across the aisle. But Speaker Boehner is in a box because he has the Tea Party crowd and the others who win big, and they won't let him move. I heard one Republican friend say the other day he's homesick for Newt Gingrich. So it can just show you.
And on that note, it's a perfect note to end on here. missing Newt here. Congresswoman, I wish you the best of what's left of the week here. Enjoy the 4th here, and good luck when you go back to Washington.
Happy 4th.
You will need it.
Pleasure to be
all
here.
Right. When we come back, the race for City Hall in 2013. Congressman didn't want to touch that one here, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about that with Dominic Carter. He sits one-on-one with Christine Quinn here, and we will be talking about the aforementioned Anthony Weiner as said. We're going to come back with that and a lot more after this. Stay with us.